Hey there, how are you today? I'm Connie Fuchsa with Foote Title Group. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Thursday and getting everything ready for your good Lord, your Christmas holiday. I don't know what the heck I'm thinking. As you can see, I am in my vehicle again, but I promise I'm not driving. I'm sitting still. We're in park. I know this has been 3 broadcasts on Coffee with Connie that we've done in the car. I have to ask you to accept my apology. It's just been kind of chaos with the Christmas holiday and all kinds of family things going on, as I'm sure is happening with you as well. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful preparation for your Christmas holiday, and I really appreciate your time tuning in. So I wanted to start by saying thank you so much for your time and always tuning in to Coffee with Connie. It really means a lot to me, and hopefully we're giving you some good information that'll help you with your home buying needs, whether you are looking to buy a home, looking to buy a piece of property to build a home, refinancing your home, any of those things. We love to help you with information, and that's what the whole purpose of Coffee with Connie is all about. So thanks for taking your time to tune in. I so very appreciate it. If you are on live, check in and say, hey, I love knowing who's in here and watching and taking the time so I can recognize you, but also so that I can realize who is on, so that we can fine tune our message to those people that are tuning in, so we can make sure that we're giving you information that is valuable to you. Also, if you're watching on the replay, please message me, check in, let us know that you were watching as well. It really helps me to understand who is paying attention, as I said. And also, I just really appreciate you taking your time, and I want to let you know how much I appreciate that. So thanks for checking in. This morning, I want to talk just a few minutes. I'm not going to keep you long, but a lot of times, one of the things that is always asked to us is, what do I need? What do I have to bring when I show up at that closing table? And how will I know when closing is? And how will I know in advance what to bring? So a lot of times those kind of questions come up, and those are things we talk about all the time, but I don't always talk about it on our live chats because I think that we get the message out there pretty good, but maybe we don't, because people ask those questions all the time. So today we're going to talk about that for a few minutes. So let's address first, how do you know when your closing is going to be? How do you know how long it takes to get to closing? How long does closing take? How long before, when you're buying your home, before you need to come to closing, do you actually schedule that closing out? What are all those time factors? So let's talk about that for a second. First of all, when you buy, or when you sign that contract to buy that piece of property, if you have a realtor involved, they're going to do a little bit of guidance for you to make sure that things are coordinated properly. And a lot of times the realtor will help you with a lot of those steps in coordinating that process, because they want to make sure that everything comes together exactly like it's supposed to as well. And so they are really good about making sure those things happen timely like they're supposed to. If you are borrowing money to purchase that piece of property, that home, whatever that happens to be, to build that home, you will be at some coordination steps with your mortgage lender as well. So they have quite a few things that need to be done through that process to make sure that everything comes together and that loan gets approved. So that's going to predicate a lot of the things that timings that happen throughout the process will have to do with what the lender needs to have done, and what documents they require from you, and certifications that they need to have done. So that'll have a lot of control over what that timing is going to look like. And rightfully so. They're loaning you an awful lot of money, and they need to make sure that that money is taken care of and secure, that it does get repaid. And they also want to make sure that you get the best loan for you, the best setup for you, that your mortgage payments are affordable, and that you're going to be able to take care of those comfortably and be able to afford your house and live and enjoy that home. So they have a lot of work to do to make sure it all comes together properly. So that's going to have a lot to do with the timing, and your realtor is going to be pretty attuned to what a lot of those things are. But typically, when you sign your contract, depending on whether you are getting a mortgage to finance that property or not, then it will matter there how long it actually takes to get to closing. So sometimes it may be that if you're doing a mortgage, there may be a program the lender has, or maybe some financial situation that you have, that they can get you in within 30 to 60 days. Sometimes it may take a little longer, depending on some loan programs and some of those types of things. The other thing that will affect when you're actually able to close from when you sign that real estate contract is some of the agreements that you've made in there. So do some things need to be done to the home? Do some certain special certifications need to be done to make sure that you're comfortable with the home that you're purchasing? Is there some inspections that need to be done? So all of those may have something to do with that timing as well. Usually we can look at roughly around between 30 and 60 days from when you sign that contract. Just sort of depends on your unique situation and your home's unique situation. If you're not borrowing money to purchase that property and you have your own cash and it's readily available, then that time is cut way down. It's much more in your control of when that can actually happen. And it can happen as short as 2 weeks, a week, or as long as several months, depending on what you're actually doing with that property that you're purchasing. So that gives you an idea from when you do the contract. And typically you'll put in the contract when you roughly expect to close, and the realtor will guide you on that. Now, once your mortgage is approved, we can pretty much pull that together from the title perspective and the closing company's perspective very quickly. Usually when when the lender gives you that preliminary approval, we're going to go ahead and get a rough date on the books to make sure that we've got you in the schedule and that we don't get overbooked, so that we can make sure everybody is accommodated. So we're going to have a penciled in date when that's going to be. Now that may change around a little bit based on some of those things that may come up. Maybe going through that loan process, some things need to take a little bit more time to get approved, so that date is probably going to move a little bit, but you're going to be shooting around that time. So you will roughly have an idea of when that's going to be. The closer you get to getting that loan approval and getting all those certifications in, we'll know much better that we can fine-tune what that date and time is, and we'll get that pencil or marked in the schedule a little more permanently and get everybody on the same page. Now, as a closing company, what we typically do is the realtors contact us and they do the coordination between all of the parties, because they're in most contact with everybody, the buyers and the sellers, each realtor, and the mortgage companies involved. But if they ask us to do that coordination, we certainly can do that, and you are welcome to call at any time and have those discussions with us. But typically your realtor will make those steps happen because they are already in that coordinating process without adding another factor, which would be the closing company having those conversations and trying to coordinate all of the people. So typically your realtor is going to have that information, and that's why we wouldn't contact you directly and say, hey, this is the date and time that it seems to be working for everyone else. Would this work for you? So typically that's going to come from your realtor after they contact us, because they are already in that connection. So, but that doesn't mean that you can't call and ask those questions and have those concerns, because we are certainly available to do that and happy to make any coordination that's necessary. But that's typically the process that happens. The other thing that is a really common question that we get is, what do I need to bring to closing? So what you need to bring to closing will depend on what your lender has told you, some things that you may need. Now, if we need you to bring some things to closing, we're going to tell you in advance, just like the lender is. And some of those things may be, if you are a seller and something has happened to one of the sellers that is in the ownership chain, is on that deed, we're going to need to know what happened to that person, and we're going to need some paperwork to confirm that. So we're going to have already had these conversations with you, but if someone passed away, we may need some estate information. We may need some death certificate. If someone was transferred out of the ownership and we don't see that recorded in the land records, we're going to need some paperwork that explains that information. Now, on the buyer side, the lender may ask you to bring your homeowner's insurance to closing. They may ask you to bring some other paperwork that maybe you've emailed to them or faxed them that they need the originals for. So the lender's going to drive a little bit of that on what you actually need to bring to closing. And so that's going to matter based on what they tell you that you actually would need. Now, for our necessary needs, everyone needs to bring a government issue picture ID. So let me say that very clearly: government issue picture ID. I can't take your BJ's card. I can't take your credit card that has your picture on it. I can't take any kind of your gym membership, just because it has your picture on it. Those aren't government issue picture IDs. And why does that matter? Well, we want to make sure that the people that are sitting at that closing table are the people that are supposed to be there. The people buying are actually taking out the proper mortgage. Those are the proper people, that the ownership is being transferred properly, that the sellers that we have at that table are the people that we need to transfer that ownership. The buyers are the exact people that the lender's expecting signing off on those mortgage documents and that are taking title to that or ownership to that property. We need to make sure that every single one of those people that is expected and signing off on each one of those documents are who we are expecting to have at that closing table. So your driver's license will work fine. Some people give us the military ID. Some people say that's not a valid thing to give us. We're going to have to Xerox that. So if you aren't comfortable with us copying that, and in some cases some people in the military say that we're not allowed to do that, we're not allowed to copy it. If that's the case, then I need something else. Now, it doesn't have to be let me say this, in the military, I realize, being in that situation, I realize that your ID, your driver's license, may not be for the state that you're located in, and I totally understand that. Understand the residency thing. Some driver's licenses do not have a picture on them. I understand that as well. Again, I'm going to have to copy it, some type of ID that identifies that that's you, both picture and that government issue ID. So that is a absolute imperative that we have to have. Hey Pam, how are you today? Thanks for tuning in, as you're always so loyal and do that. I appreciate it. The other thing we need is, did someone tell you you need to bring money to closing? So did the lender give you an estimate, which obviously they do when you first sit down and do your paperwork with them. They have to give you the loan estimate. And that number is what you're going to go by with to bring some money to closing, unless it's been modified or updated. And typically it will be probably the day before closing. Hopefully that, sometimes the day of closing, depending on how tight everything is time-wise to get all the pieces together. Certified cashier's check or a wire. Now, because of the fraudulent things that have happened over the past several years and the way the criminals are able to outsmart us more and more, we try to stay ahead of them. And one of the ways that we need to do that is they figured out how to hack into banks and get certified checks or cashier's checks that are fraudulent. And because of that, unfortunately, and in most cases, most title companies will not accept a personal check or a certified or a cashier's check anymore. The funds need to be wired to our account, and you're going to need to touch base in advance to get those wiring instructions. So we'll definitely get that information to you. We'll send you some notification out that says, you know, if you're going to send funds to us that are more than $500, then we're going to need those funds wired to us. If it's less than $500, you can write a personal check. And the reason that we do that is because sometimes the estimate that you get may be off a teeny bit, and you may need to write a personal check for a different amount. And if that's the case, then we will take a personal check under $500. The other side of that is, if you send us more money than you actually need for closing, we will refund that to you right at the table. And so you will get that money back immediately. So those are the most specific things that you need. Otherwise, you don't need anything else. Your body, a good pen signing hand, all limbered up and ready to go, because you're going to have a few documents that you need to sign. And if the lender's given you any instruction on some other things you need, then you will need that. So those are really all the things you need for closing. Show up on time, ready, excited, ready to go. The seller, bring the keys, please, so that the buyer has those when they walk out the door. And if you have any questions, you know where to call. Foote Title Group is here to answer any of those questions for you. Our team in Maryland and Virginia are always available by email, on the phone, in any way that you need to be able to get that information you need for closing. The other thing I wanted to point out with this discussion about what you need for closing is, there's a lot of documents that are passing through each other's hands at the table, and there's a lot of conversation going on and a lot of activity going on. Hey Kathleen, how are you? Thanks for tuning in, girl. Good to see you. Those documents are actually in a book on our website. Now, they're not going to be your exact documents, but we've put together a book of sample closing documents so that you have the opportunity to review some of this stuff before closing if you want to. You don't have to, but it gives you the ability to look at some of this boilerplate information while all the confusion is going on in closing, and you don't really have time to take the opportunity to review that stuff maybe as in-depth as you want to. So that is on www.footetitlegroup.com on our resources page, and It's called Sample Closing Docs, and you will be able to go in there and download that book and review all that information if you want. It's about 50 pages, most common documents. It's not every single one of them, and it's not exactly what you're going to see, but it's darn close. So hopefully that helps you a little bit today too. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Please don't stress out over the holiday. I have to keep telling myself that. All the family and friends coming in makes it really confusing, but this is supposed to be a great time where you enjoy your family, enjoy those people you are so in love with, that you care for so much, because this is a really special time of the year to be able to share that. So don't let the commercialism of the holiday overtake you. Have a great time. I look forward to talking to you guys again really soon, next week actually, on Coffee with Connie. If you need me before then, please message. Email me, Connie at footetitlegroup.com. Email any of our team or message us. We are always here to help you and really look forward to giving you all the information that you need to make your home closing successful. I hope you have an awesome Christmas and enjoy those family members, as I know I will be, and I look forward to talking to you guys again real soon. I am Connie Foote with Foote Title Group, where we protect your home ownership. Have a great day and a very Merry Christmas, guys. Bye-bye.